today we're going to be building a wall in place. This particular room that I'm renovating is only, well, it's just shy of 8 feet wide. It's about 95 inches. And that's, since we've got an 8-foot wall, that's not enough room to actually build our wall in place and then flip the wall up, because we, of course, need room to swing the hammer when we're doing our construction. So what we have to do in this particular instance is we have to build this wall in place. There's a few things we have to do while we're working on it. We have to frame around the window as well. And one thing we also need to do before we go any farther is we need to get our corner blocking in so that we can attach our drywall when the room is finished. I didn't do it before I put the wall up. I perhaps should have. It would have been a little easier to do, but then I have to do the same thing at the other end, because that wall is already up. Another reason for building this wall in place is just kind of a custom fit, because as I mentioned in a previous video, this is the room that is the opposite side of the wall of the room that had the leaning support wall. So I've got this wall as the up part, the top part of the wall is leaning toward me 1.5 inches, and I have to compensate for that when I build the wall anyway. So it's just as easy to build the wall in place as to try and make it fit laying down and then standing it up. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That's just the way you do this particular one. So we're going to start here with the first piece here. It's one that's left over from when we did our previous framing. And what we're going to do, we're just going to put that into the corner like so, and we're going to put it 90 degrees to what's there. And so when our other wall comes up, it butts against here, it's going to make a nice corner for us to attach drywall to. So we'll just get that in place, and then we can get our wall started. Okay, now the board's securely nailed in place, we can get started with the main wall here now. And again, we'll have to do the same thing when we get to the other end, but we'll do that job when we get to it. Now there's a couple ways that we can build this wall. We could build it just 91 3/8 for the studs, and our 91 3/8 for total height, which would give us an 88 3/8 for the studs. And we can just suspend it here and block it into place. Or we can measure and find out what height things are and build the fit, and that's what we're going to do. Now, you notice up in the framing here, you've got the truss running this way. Well, about every 4 or 5 feet, we've got a block running from the floor joist into the main wall here. And that's just to give you something to nail to when you're putting up a wall. And now if you don't have this, what you can do is you can build a box, just 4 pieces of wood, 2x4, just build it in a box-like construction, build it to fit, slip it up and nail it in place from the side here, and that'll give you something to connect to. But we don't need to do that because we've got a couple of these blocks in place, and then we've got the end wall, and that'll make the wall secure enough. It's not going to be a load-bearing wall, so it'll last to hold its own weight and stay safely in place, and that'll be enough to do that. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to get the height of this block here now, and we'll figure out how high to build our wall. drop that down to the floor. Looks like it's pretty close to the old wall anyways, 91 1/4. Like, I mean, it doesn't get much, it doesn't really get much closer than that. So we're like an 1/8 difference. We're actually a little lower. So if we were to build it this height, we would actually end up being a bit tall. So what we will do is we'll just cut our studs at 88 1/4. Actually, yeah, 88 1/4 will be fine, and then we'll measure up our top and bottom plates, and we'll just start assembling the wall. Okay, the first thing you want to do is cut your bottom plate and measure it and cut it to fit. In our particular case, it's going to be 13 feet and 3/16 of an inch. And in this case, it fits exactly. It should just drop nicely into place. And then you just take your nail gun and you fasten it down. You might as well go down the whole length at this point, because you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be needing to do much with it later. So now you should have cut yourself a few studs to start with, and basically what we're going to do. We're just going to set that into place, grab our level, at this point it's quite critical to make sure that this particular piece is level, and the piece at the other end we're going to do the same thing. And then what we're going to do is we'll put our top plate between them, and then we just simply put our studs in between. And so it's particularly important to make sure that these two end pieces are quite level. And okay, as I was saying earlier before I got interrupted by the air compressor, it's important to make sure that these two end pieces are absolutely level, because they're going to form the basis for which we build the rest of the wall. That'll be the alignment that we work toward. What we're going to do next is we're going to measure and cut our top plate, and then we're just going to sit that in, and everything else is just simply going to sit on top of it, fit in by pressure. Now, with the wall itself, there's normally some undulations in the concrete that's normal, and but you know, if you unless you've got some really big undulations, it shouldn't really be an issue for the most part. I've only had one situation where I actually had to reassemble a wall because the wall had bowed in too much. And really, when you get into situations like that, you need to really be having a foundational expert come in and have a look at things anyways. So in this case, it turned out it was just a little bit of frost heat, but you know, and they're able to fix it. But yeah, get these two end plates in, and then measure your top plate, and then continue to assemble from there. You know, sometimes it's better not to say anything. Turns out we do in fact have a bow in our wall. Well, this one's not a foundational issue. This one's just the they didn't bother to put the form square, and now I have to take the upper plate around a bow in the wall. So this is how you do that. You just mark off to go around the bow and start cutting. There, now let's see if that fits. Just set the 2x4 on top of your end stud at the one end, and then come to the other end and just lift it up into place. And now see if we have enough clearance. And we still need to cut just a little bit more in the center there. But we just about got her. Just need to cut that out of the center just a little bit more there. Okay, now that we've got our top plate roughly in position, what we want to do is we want to get our first stud into place, and now we want to start it at the edge of the window. Now I've got a 3/4 inch drywall return on here, which means that I can use a small chunk of 1x4, which is 3/4 of an inch thick, and I can use that to line up exactly with the edge of the drywall return and make sure that my piece is going to fit. That way, when I do the window ledge, everything's going to fit, and I can just tack directly to the stud. So what we're going to do, we've got this here all lined up now, and we're just going to grab the nail gun and put that in place. Okay, now repeat the same procedure on the other side of the window and get that stud nice and straight, and then fasten it firmly in place. Just toenail from the bottom. And do the same down below. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to cut two boards, 35.5 inches. That's the distance between these two studs here. And we're going to mount this in here horizontally. One at the top, one at the bottom. And that'll be our ledges on the top and bottom for the window frame, and then afterward we'll just simply mount the window frame inside of that after we've insulated. And basically it's the same procedure as before. You just simply slip it in and line it up with the ridge of the drywall return. You use your board here to make sure that everything's perfectly tight, and that's nice and level. Just once it's all squared up and level, then just nail it in. Always check after you put your first nail, because these things have quite a kick to them, and they tend to throw everything out. So if you're hoping that you can put it in place once and then hammer it with an air nail, or forget it. And repeat the same procedure for the top of the window. Okay, so that's what the window looks like when you get finished framing around it. Now the question probably is going to be asked, shouldn't you have measured things and built it square and instead of trying to follow the edge of the window? Well, the answer is yes and no. If you're doing new construction, then the answer is yes, because you would be putting the window in. However, when you're doing a renovation, the window's already in place, so you need to follow what's there. Otherwise, it's just not going to work when you go to put the window trim on. It's going to look really bad because you have to follow the window as it's put in. And if it's out of square, then you have to follow for it being out of square and adjust for it when you're doing your framing. Because any attempt at trying to square your framing and then make it match to the window is going to look ridiculous when you get finished. Now the other thing you might be wondering about is that little gap up top between there. Whether or not you put a block in there in this particular case is optional. You've only got about an inch space there. I'm just going to end up filling it up with some foam there. It's not really supporting anything, so it doesn't really need to have a cripple stud in there. You can put one in if you want, but for a space that small, I wouldn't be overly concerned about it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is installing the rest of the studs in this wall section here. And now you just take out your tape measure, and remember we said we were going to go 16 inches on center. It's important that you remember this because you need to, at this point in the game, you need to be prepared for putting your drywall sheets up. And if you don't get this right, you're either going to be missing the studs or cutting your sheet short in order to meet where the stud is. So you've got to get your placement right on these. Start right in the corner and measure out 16 inches, and you want to put it in the stud in the center of that 16-inch space, and keep going until you've reached 8 feet. And so anyways, once you get all the studs in, this is basically what your wall should look like when you're done. And it's all ready for whatever you're going to do next, whether you're going to insulate or you're going to just put drywall on or plywood, whatever, or do some electrical, whatever. It's all ready for the next stage. Anyways, have a good day.